With the Kentucky Derby this weekend, everybody from college students to celebrities will be enjoying our local hospitality. Hopefully, they'll all be prepared to get home safely with designated drivers, a cab or Lyft or Uber ready to go, even before they head out to a party. Because obviously there's a darker side to all the fun. In 2016, there were more than 17,000 DUI arrests in Kentucky, putting the Commonwealth on the top 10 worst states for DUIs. Larry Forman is a Louisville attorney. You may know him as the DUI guy, and he says he wishes that work would dry up because it's imperative that people stop drinking and driving. You truly wish that you wouldn't have to practice law in this way, because people make these selfish, dangerous decisions to drink and drive.
That is correct. And luckily for us, with Uber and Lyft, there's been a significant drop in DUI arrests all across the country because people make smarter choices. And I always say, make the smarter decisions, avoid the DUI lawyer hiring process. I can help you, and I chose this profession to help people, especially when they make such decisions.
So when someone does make that, I mean, and again, awful decision, dangerous, selfish decision to drink and drive, what is the first thing they need to do?
They need to call me.
Okay, of course.
But before that, when the police officer stops them, the important thing to do is to shut your frickin' mouth. Not talk, not give any statements. The less you give, the less evidence they have against you, and the less they can use against you.
Now, I think that sometimes with people are inebriated, it's very difficult to keep your mouth shut, but that is #1 tip. What else about when you are asked to be given a breathalyzer test? How should you answer?
When the officer you will notice that the officer doesn't really give you an option.
Okay.
The majority of my clients that call me, and I know from experience, not personal experience, but from watching the videos, individuals do not get an option to complete field sobriety tests. They're simply told to do so. So people don't even realize they have the option to simply, very politely, you do not need to be rude about it, simply tell the officer, I would rather not perform your test, because it's kind of like a game of Simon Says that the government is putting in front of you. If you perform these tests that we have created and you pass them to my satisfaction as the police officer who has full discretion to decide whether or not you're inebriated or not, and 9 times out of 10 they can make it up even if it's not there, especially if there's no video, you're basically left at the whim of the government as to whether or not they're going to be prosecuting you.
Now, we're talking about alcohol, but that is not all that falls under DUI. There are a lot of other substances.
That is correct. Pills, drugs, alcohol, all of those things. If an officer offers you a breath test or a preliminary breath test, which is done at the scene, or a breath test at the station, or a blood test, my advice is to universally refuse. There is only one main exception and a secondary sub-exception. The main exception is if you're a CDL driver,
okay,
or if you're a pilot, the FAA and the FMCSA will have other consequences and penalties for you that you may not want to tackle, period. And the second sub-exception is if you truly believe that you are not under the influence, and I mean it should be a very sincere belief, that you're under the .08, excuse me,
okay,
then you should not, you should blow and you should not refuse.
Okay, and then lastly, we only have a few seconds left with this. You say that everyone should contest their DUI case and do not plead guilty.
I believe so, yes, because the amount of cases that I get where individuals look sober on camera, have been sleeping in their cars, have no indicia of intoxication, and are still charged and prosecuted, especially outside the city of Louisville, the county of Jefferson, is staggering. And it's rising because DUIs are a cash crop for the government. It's money to be made, and they need to be contested and fought.
Well, and I also appreciate that you have been very candid about the fact that you would prefer to practice other areas of law so that people are making those smart decisions and not choosing to drink and drive. So thank you so much, Larry. We appreciate having you here. If you have questions for Larry Forman, you can reach him at 931-6788. His website is larryformanlaw.com.